Hey friends, how are you? I just wanted to come and talk to you guys today a little bit about why I do what I do and why I love coaching so much, and a little bit about how I got started coaching. It was from a place of just really a place of need and a place of wanting something better. And I want to tell you what I wish I had known and what I want you to know about coaching and just about where you are in your life right now. So I was going through a phase for a few years in my life where things just felt really, really hard. Um, I'm going to be a little bit personal today, and I hope that's okay. But things felt a little bit hard for me. We had gone through a difficult time. I've talked about this before, losing a newborn child, which was so, so hard. Things just with jobs and education and school, things were just kind of bumpy for a while. And I was just feeling really down and like life was hard and too difficult. And I was just having a really hard time being happy. In fact, I was blaming myself. I haven't even told a lot of my family about this, so this is incredibly personal, but I was blaming myself for some of the things that happened after we lost our child, our newborn baby, and I could not stop beating myself up. You guys, we're talking about like 10 years worth of just beating myself up. So I was having a really hard time even being happy for a while. And I just knew something needed to change. Well, I had heard of life coaching and I kind of thought, oh, I'd love to be a life coach. But I was such a mess myself. Like I didn't even think I could make that happen. And I got wind that this guy who worked out at the gym where I actually teach at was a life coach. And so we kind of chatted about it. And he said, you know what? If you want to be a coach, let me coach you for a little while, and that will help you understand what coaching is and if you really want to do it. So, on that pretense alone, not planning to get any real help besides learning what a coach was and deciding if that's what I want to do for a career, I agreed to coach with him and let him kind of walk me through the steps. And I had done that for probably months, and I had found value in it, and I felt like it was really propelling me forward as far as my business mind and where I wanted to go. But I was still struggling with my personal life. Like, I was incredibly reluctant to open up personally and be coached on anything that was deeper than the surface, especially about the deepest issue that I was struggling with, which was the guilt I felt over the death of our newborn son. So, um, I got to this point where I thought, okay, I'm going to let this out because we're talking. I would be driving in the car, guys, and it would just hit me, and I would just burst into tears, and the thoughts would come to my mind. This is so embarrassing to admit to you guys, but the thoughts would come to my mind. I hate myself. What kind of person would do this? It was hard, and it would hit me out of the blue. Now, my family, my friends, they never knew I was struggling with this because I didn't tell anybody. Like I said, I didn't let it come out. I would push it back until I was alone in a place where nobody would see me, and then I couldn't take it anymore and it would just erupt out of me, right? But I got to a point where I thought, if I'm going to be a coach and help people, I need to work through this. I need to let this go. So I decided I was going to talk to my coach about it. I'm telling you, weeks would go by. We would have a session. It would be great. It would be on the tip of my tongue. And I just couldn't tell him because I felt so much shame and so much embarrassment. And I thought he was going to judge me. And I thought, I don't want him or anybody else in this world to know what a terrible person I am for having gone through this, for having felt this way. So I didn't tell him. And I'm so glad I went through that because now I have all these clients and all these people that I offer free sessions to and free consults to. And I have lots of coaches who are my friends and peers, and they're offering free help too. And what we're finding is, even if it's free, so many people are reluctant to open up and ask for help. Now, if I hadn't gone through what I have been through, I might look at them and say, what's wrong with you? Or, gosh, you're ungrateful. Why wouldn't you take me up on this? Or, whatever, start judging them. But instead of doing that, what I'm able to realize now is they aren't taking me up on my offer to do free coaching with them, because oftentimes we don't want other people to know what we're going through. We're judging ourselves. We feel embarrassed. We feel ashamed, just like I did. So what finally happened was I was talking to my coach one day. We had met the end of our session. I think I was getting a little bit emotional because I was trying to get the words out. And he said, I can tell there's something in. I'm going to sit with you for a few minutes. I want, I'm not going to let this go. Not in a mean way, not in a pushing, judging way, but just in a kind, open way that I'm here for you to get this out. And I remember just mumbling out the words reluctantly and telling him how much guilt I felt over the death of my child, how much I had blamed myself, how much I hated myself for some of those events and some of those thoughts that I had. And I told him how I didn't want anybody to know because I just knew they would feel the same way about me. After I did that, I was met with so much compassion. I was met with so much wisdom. He totally just took what I had to say. He helped me understand it in a way that was so completely liberating. He talked to me about, that's what our brains do when we're in a state of crisis and trauma. He talked to me about how he felt and thought and the things that he did when he had gone through the sudden death of his wife. We just sat there, and I remember we just talked and discussed, and it honestly made me feel walking out of there like I was 100 pounds lighter. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done, to admit that and be able to be so vulnerable with somebody. But it's also one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Since moving past all of that guilt and all of that shame and all of that self-hate, it has made me a different person. It's made me be able to move past that shame and embarrassment. And because of that, I've been able to move forward, get certified as a life coach myself, be able to help many, many people, been able to empathize and understand and offer that safe space of no judgment to so many other people. This is what I want you to know. If you're beating yourself up over something in your life, if you're feeling lots of shame and embarrassment about something right now, this is what's going to happen. If you think you're a terrible person, you feel shame and embarrassment, that leads you to hide. That leads you to isolate. That leads you to not seek out help. And when you hide and isolate and don't seek out help, you stay small. You still feel like you're broken. You can't push past those feelings, those thoughts that keep you stuck in that sad, depressed place that you don't want to be in. But that's what our brains do, right? They tell us that everybody else is fine, everybody else is normal, we're somehow defective and broken and worse and terrible, and we should just be really embarrassed and hide. This is what I want you to know. Please don't do that. Please know that the pathway to feeling better, the pathway to healing and being your best self, is acknowledging those feelings of guilt and shame and all those thoughts that you have about yourself, acknowledging them head on, working through them, understanding them in a way that is real and true, which is probably not what you're doing now, because you're probably thinking all these things in your brain that are just going to beat you up. And my coach, Brooke Castillo, she likes to say when we do that, we're just punching ourselves in the face over and over, causing more pain, causing more damage. So when we confront our feelings of shame and embarrassment, we work through those thoughts that we're having about ourselves head on. That is the pathway to healing and the pathway to growth. So that is my challenge for you today. And I'm not asking you to schedule a consult with me, although you can if you want to. What I'm asking you to do is don't hide in shame. Reach out for help. Wherever that help may lie, I don't know. but reach out to those around you. There is nothing wrong with you, right? We're just human. We're all doing the best we can. So, anyway, whatever you're struggling with right now, I want you to know that there are people who understand. There are people who will be able to reach out and help you. And for sure, there are people who won't understand. And there are people who will judge you. Those are not your people. Those are not your people. I want you to think about my story because it was hard. It was hard work. It was a lot of effort, but I pushed through the embarrassment. I pushed through the shame. I found somebody who could help me. And very reluctantly and slowly, I opened up, and it's the best decision that I've ever made, or one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. It has made a world of difference in the past 5 years. All right, friends, I hope you're having a great day. I hope that you'll have a beautiful weekend. It's Friday. Yay. So anyway, we will talk soon. I'm sure I'll be back to see you guys next week, but don't forget to reach out for help and know that you are just human in a difficult world and we're all doing the best we can. So don't beat yourself up. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.